There's a random chicken in the road? Why did the chicken cross the road? Let's go to Empire Cycle and buy an IBEX. Alright guys, so we're going to do a quick little first impression rider review on the all-new IBEX 450. This is a bike that actually speaks to me a lot. My main bike that I ride is KLR 650. This number-wise, power-wise, is supposed to be very similar, but obviously just with, you know, some newer features on here, a lot more tech than what I'm used to. So I'm really excited to try this out. Come along with me. Let's check it out. Alright guys, so initial thoughts. The rider triangle on this is actually very, very, very good. I personally would opt for the taller seat. I have a 32-inch inseam, so the taller seat definitely fits me just a little bit better. We don't have it on this one right now, but handlebar position, everything feels really good. The bike is also in the lower suspension setting right now, which isn't a big deal. It's just I'm a lot more flat-footed than I normally would be on this bike. But what's nice is it actually can fit a lot of different riders, which is kind of cool because, you know, usually adventure bikes historically have just been these really tall machines that are really hard for people to get on. I have a feeling that, like, even, you know, 5'6" and under would be able to comfortably get on this bike, especially in the lower suspension setting, and be able to be comfortable on it. So the dash is really nice. We'll turn this on real quick. TFT display, I believe it's a 5-inch. Really kind of gives you all the information you need, nothing you don't, just right up front. And you can cycle through different information sections. So like, let's say, you know, Odo, your 2 trips, and then what I like is your run time and your fuel mileage and everything is all based on each trip. So I'm going to go ahead and actually reset this trip here. There we go. And I'd be curious to see kind of what mileage I get in real world settings. A lot of people ask about ride modes on this. It really only has 2, off-road and normal. It'll automatically turn to normal every time you turn the key on, which a lot of people are like, oh, well, I really want a bike that stays whatever ride mode I put it in when I turn the bike off. To put it in off-road, you hold this button right here for 2 seconds. Off-road pops on up there, disables rear wheel ABS and traction control. You can do that on the fly, and you can also switch it right back off on the fly just by the push of a button. I really like that. You do have adjustable levers on this guy. I'm actually going to crank this one out just a little bit. I like a little bit more of a longer throw there. Same thing with my brakes. The mirrors are really cool. These mirrors are actually fold down, which is kind of nice. Do I think they're a complete replacement for double take? No, but they're pretty close, especially, you know, if you're the kind of guy that doesn't really need that all the time. Really nice feature that you can just fold those down. You have the adjustable windscreen up here, which is one-hand adjustment too, which I love so much that they did that. On this, comfortably sitting here, I can reach up while maintaining control of the motorcycle and adjust that windscreen. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about before I take off here, you do have USB charging right here on the side. If I remember correctly, that is A and C in there. So you can actually go ahead and plug in your devices if you have a GPS unit that you want to mount up to this bar here on your bars, charge your phone, whatever it may be, you have the access right there. Super, super, super convenient. So, and then of course your high beams are just this little trigger right here, push it forward to lock it in, pull it back to flash. Very simple. I mean, initially, these bikes really, like I said before, these really started speaking to me. Let's go ahead and take it for a ride. So let's kind of cruise around in the parking lot real quick here. Now, a lot of people talk about touchy, jerky throttles on these. That was more of a concern with the 2025 model year. They have released some updates since then. This actually has a good amount of torque, all things considered. It doesn't feel jerky to me at all. It actually feels very, very comfortable. It doesn't seem to, I mean, I never rode one that actually had those issues, so I'm kind of just going off of what I'm seeing now. It doesn't feel jerky at all. I know that's a big concern that a lot of people have with these bikes. Now again, lower suspension setting here does feel a little goofy for me just because I'm a taller guy and I'm used to a tall bike, but this thing actually feels great. I mean, the get up and go is, it's definitely a 450. I mean, you know, it's not going to feel like it's a big bike by any means. Now, I will say there's a little bit of wind coming off that windscreen here. I'm going to bump it up to the upper position, see if that actually makes a huge difference. I'm impressed. I thought for sure I was going to have to go with the higher windscreen on this if that's what I wanted to do, but no, that works really well. The handling is actually very impressive on these bikes. I mean, for being a taller bike, it throws its weight around pretty well. It wears the weight low on these. So wet weight on this motorcycle is about 420, 415. I don't think it's necessarily like that heavy. I do think it's actually quite honestly pretty light for an adventure bike, and it handles the weight really well. The suspension feels great, which it should, considering it's all KYB fully adjustable. Now, getting up to freeway speed on this bike, it definitely is a little more revvy than what a lot of people are probably used to. It likes to be a little bit higher in the revs. This does have stock gearing on it. I have heard of a lot of people switching out the stock gearing for, you know, dropping a tooth or going up a tooth or whatever, and getting a little bit more favorable results. But I'm sitting here, you know, cruising at about 77. I have to check to see how accurate this speedometer is, but I'm cruising right along at freeway speeds right here. It is a little up there in the revs, but it's not too bad. And at the end of the day, it is a parallel twin 270-degree crank. I mean, it's built to go higher speeds. It's not like you're riding a thumper that close to redline all the time, which I shouldn't even say close to redline. I mean, it's you know, we're under 7K right now. Redline's 85, so. But for being such a small displacement, it's actually very, very comfy. I mean, it has good road manners. It doesn't feel vibey, and that was one thing I was a little bit curious about. Which, granted, being a parallel twin, it shouldn't have a lot of that engine vibration, but you know, obviously we are in the upper end of the revs here. It really doesn't feel too bad. So far, our average fuel mileage has been 62 to the gallon on 3.8 miles so far, which is pretty impressive, actually. That's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. It's a 64 even, and this is cruising at 70-ish miles an hour on the freeway. I mean, that's amazing. The best part is it has a 4.6 gallon tank too. I mean, it's you have plenty of range on this if that's going to be your average on the freeway. I'm very, very impressed with the braking performance on this bike. So now that I'm stuck in the stop and go traffic, I want to take a moment to talk about this clutch. Super light pull. I know I've seen some people online kind of complain, oh, I can't feel the friction zone. No, you can feel the friction zone just fine in this clutch. The cool thing about this too is, especially for either newer riders or, you know, people, let's say you have arthritis or, you know, your hands can't pull like they used to. Super simple clutch pull. I mean, it's literally a one finger and you can get it engaged. Feels great. I'm gonna pull right over here real quick. Stop for half a second, and then we're just gonna go ahead and pull. The acceleration feels about like you would expect out of a 450. You know, it's got plenty of get up and go to get up to freeway speeds. It's not like it's going to be winning any races by any means, but it does feel pretty good. And again, I cannot tell you enough how smooth this actually feels at highway speeds. I mean, most of the vibration I'm actually feeling right now is just from, you know, wind related stuff. It's, you know, my feet are comfortable, my hands feel no vibration. I mean, maybe just the slightest little bit, which I think is mostly tires. But yeah, it feels great at highway speeds. It really does. I think this is a bike that you could definitely hop on and take for longer trips if you wanted to. You know, maybe cross-country trips. I saw one guy online that in 3 months of ownership, he put 10,000 miles on an IBEX 450, and he loved it. These are definitely a bike, I mean, for daily driving especially, this would be awesome. So we're still at 62.7 miles per gallon right now, which is phenomenal, even after that stretch of stop-and-go traffic in town. Go ahead and try standing up on her. Actually, not bad. Now these are the stock foot pegs, which are more of just what you would expect out of stock standard foot pegs. They are, you know, metal with the rubber inserts on there, not super aggressively grabby. They do offer the rally foot pegs, which are a little bit more what most people are probably used to. You know, aluminum frame, little grabber teeth on there. Definitely a lot more aggressive. These don't feel bad though. I do like rubber inserts for road riding, especially, you know, if you're doing a lot of highway stuff like that. Does help quite a bit with the vibration that you feel in your feet. Not that this bike vibrates hardly at all, but especially on like bigger displacement singles, they make a huge difference. All right, now that the sun's starting to go down a little bit, a little cooler out, less traffic, let's take this thing, get a little bit more in depth. So a lot of people worry about the torque being that it is a smaller engine, but it'll move under its own power just by letting the clutch out. And first, let's try it in second. Pretty decent. So I know I had mentioned this earlier, the choppy throttle really, I'm not noticing it. Granted, we're in 5th gear right now. Let me drop us down real quick here. Doesn't feel choppy at all. Feels very precise. It is fly-by cable. So yeah, you don't get the ride modes, you don't get cruise control, but it really, the throttle feels good. Back on the freeway. Surprised actually at how many cars are out here right now. But freeway speeds are just effortless on this bike, which is really almost a refreshing thing because I'm so used to riding my bike that is just horrible on the freeway. Is actually really nice. Again, not getting a lot of wind buffeting off of the factory installed windshield. I'm sure at some point I will end up wanting to do, if I were to buy this, I would want to do the taller one. That's just a personal preference thing. But I would say for your average rider, this is plenty of protection. Something to mention with this clutch as well is it is a slipper cut clutch, so I'll shift down a few too many gears here and watch this. Really nice engagement on that. Doesn't jerk you, doesn't throw you off the bike by any means. Now we are doing an on-road review today. I at some point will take this out and do some off-road. My whole goal with this video is just to get more on-road stuff anyways. More first impressions, first time taking the bike out. God, it handles really well through these curves. This right here, I mean, you recommended 20 miles an hour through this curve. This bike really is quite confidence inspiring through these twisties here. I have to say the exhaust, while it's not loud, it sounds great. I know Yoshimura makes a pipe for these, and the Yoshimura pipe sounds really good. This thing actually is a lot of fun on these back roads. And what I like too is there's a lot of range in these gears. The bike definitely has enough power to get out of its own way. It's not so much that it's intimidating by any means, which is nice. And you know, especially when you're riding off-road, You know, some guys will sit there and say, oh, I need to have at least, you know, 100 horsepower. You don't need 100 horsepower off-road, dude. You really don't. Honestly, I have more fun off-road with less horsepower. And on-road, even, I mean, 44 horse in this thing, and it doesn't feel like it. It's so much more fun than what you'd expect. Brakes work really well. The suspension feels good too. It's, you know, a lot of adventure bikes, when you slam on the brakes, you tend to nosedive, and you definitely get a little bit of nosediviness with this, but it doesn't feel squishy, if that makes sense. Like, you know, you go ride, you know, example, my KLR, even with the progressive suspension, still smushy. You know, CRF 250L smushy, 300L mushy. You know, most lightweight adventure bikes like this, you tend to get a little bit of a mushier suspension, especially at this price point. And this thing just feels so well put together. I think one of the things that surprises me the most about this motorcycle is, you know, you look at it, you look at how it's marketed, you look at their target audience, it's all just ADV guys. And again, since I'm not doing off-road stuff on this video, you know, I'm kind of just doing street riding, and this is fun. I mean, this is truly a legitimately fun motorcycle. Like I was saying, I'm actually very surprised at how well this handles just regular riding. I mean, this is stuff that you know, don't get me wrong, I'll do it on my KLR, but it just doesn't feel this good. And even on these little back roads, I mean, the handling is just so good. Has just the right amount of power, just, you know, not too much that it feels like it's a chore to ride, but enough to where, you know, you legitimately enjoy the ride while you're riding it. There's a random chicken in the road? Why did the chicken cross the road? Let's go to Empire Cycle and buy an IBEX. There's a deer crossing the road, assumingly for the same reason. But even in these tighter corners, I will say, these tires work impressively well. For being more of an aggressive tread pattern, you really don't get that kind of wash that you usually get with like traditional knobbies. And granted, they're not knobbies. I mean, they're, you know, they're bigger, you know, almost paddle style big block tires. That was 5th from 25, and it still just pulls. I didn't know what I was going to think about the torque on this one, just because, you know, twin cylinder and only 450 cc's, but it has the torque you want. After a quick little pit stop and waiting for the sun to go down enough to where it's dark out, figured we could go do a little headlight review real quick. I'm just gonna go right around back in this back lot real quick, just so I can show you guys. A couple things back here. So we've already been talking about how well this thing corners. But as well as a nice little slalom here. very easy to throw this bike around. Even if you're not buying this for going off-road, I mean, if you've ridden a motorcycle at all, you know sometimes riding in traffic can be sketchy. You have, you know, people running out or dogs or whatever, and the ability to see something and almost immediately just swerve out of the way. I mean, it's pretty solid, really, on this bike. I mean, it's very nimble, very light to throw around. So headlight wise, it's very much a projector style headlight, which does not entirely surprise me. But that's low beam, that's high beam. So the high beam's more just a center spotlight more than anything, which this is a little too well lit. Oh yeah, third gear start, plenty of torque. This is a little lit to really be able to tell how much that throws light. You can see that road sign way out there, but we'll go find a good road to really test this on. All right, so I found a dark enough road to be able to actually test this on. So these are the low beams, that's the high beams. They definitely throw out some light. I think the low beams are just so good with coverage that the high beams really don't get their due justice. It definitely throws it right where you need it, which is straight ahead. And what I do like about the low beams on this is you have the really wide angle here, so it can get the ditches, you can see the animals. I don't think anything's going to be sneaking up on the outside of the side of the road. And then with the high beams on, you know, you can definitely see a lot further than what you can without them. All right, so final thoughts on the IBEX 450. Overall, very impressed with the road performance. Ergonomics are great. Clutch is super smooth. The road performance is awesome. You know, freeway speeds are really nice and smooth. It doesn't feel like you're, you know, asking too much of the bike to pull freeway speeds by any means. And the fuel economy is really impressive. I'm starting to wonder if this is accurate or not, because it's claiming that in the past, you know, 76 miles that I've gotten 67.2 miles per gallon. Now, I could believe it. It wasn't like I was riding intensely by any means, but I'm pretty impressed if that's the case, because that is very, very, very good fuel mileage. A lot better than what they were expecting these to get. Most people say, you know, around the 50 range, and here we are, you know, 17 miles per gallon more than that. So yeah, if this is something that you guys are interested in, if you're looking for a lightweight adventure bike that can kind of do it all, this is something worth taking a look at. Now, of course, we do test rides at Empire Cycles, so you guys just feel free to swing on in. As long as the weather's nice and you have your endorsement, we can get you guys out on a bike and trying it out. And if you guys have any questions about the bike further, you know where to find us. You can give us a call or shoot us an email, fill out a little form on the website. We can get in touch with you and figure out all your needs. Make sure we're getting you guys on the right motorcycle, and you know, take care of all your service needs after the fact. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Other than that, have a good one, guys, and thanks for watching.